Happy Friday. What's up? This is the live recording of episode 59 of the Client by Client podcast. We'll get started here in a little less than a minute. What I want to know below this or in the chat, what's been the highlight of your week so far? Any fun weekend plans? You know me, early card tomorrow. So UFC card in the morning. I think there's a BKFC card tonight. And then we're painting some cabinets, doing some remodeling around here. So what's been a win for your week? Do let me know. If it's your first time here, drop me the number 1 so I can welcome you. And if you're a repeat offender, drop me some emojis. Let's hop in. Let's do this. Let's round the week out on a strong note. This episode comes out on the 6th of August. While today on the podcast, we talked about money later tasks. So we actually had a 2-part episode go live. On Thursday, it was about money now tasks, what to do to be generating revenue and clients by the end of this week. And then we talked about money later tasks, what to do to be working on over the long term to be making it easier for you to run your online business. Yes, we're back in it. Sales were amazing this week. Happy to hear that, Jesus. Thanks for being here again. Super appreciate you. Let's hop in and let's get this going. Thank you guys for the love. Super love that. Always appreciate that. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com, back with another episode of Client by Client. Thank you so much for being here today. In the last episode, we talked about something that's going to be critical to the next 3, 7, 10 years of your online journey, which is building your authority. This is one of those things that when you get right, it makes it easier to run your business, where clients and prospects start coming your way, and it starts this kind of never-ending snowball where you don't even have to be trying to be getting leads or clients, and they're flowing your way. To know what's missing between that reality and where you're at right now, be sure to track back to episode 58 so that you can understand what authority is, why you must be building it, what happens when you don't build it or get it right, and exactly what to do to start creating this effect right now, even if you're the newest of new coaches online. In today's episode, I want to talk about a quote that changed my life, about something that one of my mentors told me. And I want to share a couple lessons I've internalized, a couple things for you to think about for taking this thought, taking this quote, and implementing it into the very fabric of your life and of your business. Today's episode is titled, It's Time to Get Organized. And that said, let's hop in and let's bring this to life. So you guys have heard me allude to many mentors I've had in my life and many people that I look up to, that I stand on the shoulders of. And one of those people that's had a profound impact on me, on my business, on my life, is a gentleman by the name of Lewis Mocker. I think more people need to know about him. It shows you how big of a space this online education, online influencer space. So, let me know if you're watching this live in the chat. This will be edited out. But have you ever heard of Lewis? Are you familiar with him? I came across Lewis because of something before it got super trendy, which was Forex trading. I came across him, and interesting story, actually. Let's talk about this. First, I came across a young lady named Amy Sangster. And let me tell you real quick about how I came across Amy Sangster. I want to take you back to about 2011, 2012. I'm working at Apple. And at this point in time, I'm pretty sure I'm full-time. And a buddy of mine, we met up 2 to 3, 4 times a week after work. And he hits me up, and he's a little more anxious than usual. He's like, hey, what do you got going on after work? I want to come by. I need to pick your brain. I'm like, okay, cool. I get home from work. A couple minutes later, I hear his truck pull up and open the door, let him in. And he's like, I need you to check this out, and I need you to tell me if it's legit or not. And what he showed me was a 20 and 21-year-old couple, Amy Sangster and her husband, or her boyfriend at the time, who's since passed away, her fiance. His name escapes me right now. R.I.P. Pulls up this video, and it's the 20 and 21-year-old, and they're driving Lamborghinis. And this caught my buddy's attention. So he's like, what are they doing? Is it legit? We kind of look at it. I don't have enough data to tell him in that moment, but I'm like, let me look into it. We pull up, they have an ebook that they're selling, and that's kind of it. He goes off about his evening. And I stay there and I purchase this ebook that they're selling for about 50, 60, $70. I consume it before my ass leaves the chair. And what it talked about was the story of Amy and her boyfriend or fiance at the time. He hustled in high school and did an eBay business that turned into a MySpace theme business that turned into a software development business. That's how he made his money. It's how he got his multiple Lamborghinis in high school. Amy, Australian, traded currencies on the market, Forex. First time I've ever heard of Forex. This was like not a trend at all. Instagram was barely gaining traction at the time. Now you have hundreds of people DMing you, right? Asking you if you want to learn from their mentor on foreign trading. They all learn from Lewis, or they learn from people who learn from Lewis, literally. I download this ebook. Amy's story is a little different. She does Forex. She talks about her mentors. They both talk about The Secret. So this brings me back to The Secret, which you guys know my affinity for. So it had been a couple years since I used The Secret to become the national officer of Skills USA. It's a couple years after high school. So now this reminds me to go to The Secret. So I watch it that night. I finished reading this ebook, and by the end of it, I was inspired. This ebook was called Far From It, and it was the idea that you are far from the normal, you are far from the average. You need to act like it. Here are some pathways and some ways to do it. And it was just a PDF talking about their journeys. And then in there talking about like their mentors and resources and things like that. Amy had a school where you could learn how to do foreign exchange. Robert Himmler, that's his name. Robert Himmler, RIP, was talking about like encouraging you to go down the entrepreneurship route. I was so inspired from this. And inside of there, Amy talked about this school that you could learn exchanging foreign currencies, and it was with her partner, Lewis Mocker. That took me in that PDF, that brought me back to The Secret, and it also introduced me to a little book. I didn't think I was going to go this deep, guys. It took me into a little book called The 4-Hour Workweek. This book, The 4-Hour Workweek, I watched The Secret that night. The next day, I'm going into work. I'm heading into the Apple store. I stop out by Barnes & Noble before. In fact, I parked by Barnes & Noble so I could like go in there, grab this book. And I didn't take it in with me that day because I didn't want my coworkers to think that I was abandoning ship or didn't want them thinking something of me. I started reading that book, taking it on my shift. I pulled the cover off of it. It kind of looked like a Harry Potter book without the cover. So I started reading it on my 15-minute breaks. That PDF, that night of my buddy wanting me to see this email and wanting to kind of see my discernment with this couple who have the Lamborghinis, me buying that PDF leads me back to The Secret, to the 4-Hour Workweek. A couple weeks later, I'm leaving Apple. And I left to go join a startup while I was trying to figure out what business was going to take me to where I wanted to be. So, Lewis Mocker, I buy the Forex school to learn it. Never ended up doing it. Learned a lot about it. I had some buddies who went and learned it as well. I went down the entrepreneurship route and kind of followed that thing, which then led me a couple years later when I'm at a resurgence in my life and in my business. Basically, I started multiple businesses. I ended a t-shirt design and print business that I had. Through exposure to Joe Polish and Dean Jackson, I join a startup. I leave Apple. I decide that I need money right now, so I don't have time to build an audience, time to launch a product or anything like that. And I go into digital marketing and I find my niche with podcasters, email list building, and copywriting. That was my triad. That was all of the services and everything that I offered, everything that got my start here in online marketing. And then also going on to teach it these days. And so after all of that, 2 business breakups. One of them was with someone that I was dating at the time. So we broke that off. She goes her own way. A couple years down the road, I'm doing my own thing. Another buddy wants to start business with me. So we start going down this road. Some things happen. I'll spare the details. And I'm at this like restarting point. Like, do I go back into doing services? What do I do? I had a fresh starting point. And it was at this point that Lewis Mocker had launched an online course, an online membership, so I joined it. One of the very first things he shared with me in the very first video of his training, at the time it was called Mastermind, was that universe rewards 2 things: speed of implementation and organization. The idea is that universe rewards when you learn something and you take it and you go and implement it. When you find out you're doing something wrong and you change it. When you get a piece of information that's going to help you in some way, you do something with it. Speed. The second part is organization. This gets a little bit more esoteric. It's the idea that you need to become organized in your energy, in your activities, and in your thinking if you want for money to flow your way, if you want for your dreams and aspirations to flow your way. And that right there started me down kind of a new educational, business, spiritual path of trying to figure all of this out. And so the quote that I need to stand with you before we get into 4 thoughts I have around this and how to take this and implement into your life and your business is that the universe rewards 2 things: speed of implementation and organization. You have to get better and faster about the things you learn and implementing them. And I have my thoughts on that. And you also have to get your thoughts, your energy, and your activity organized so that you're worthy of money, so that you're worthy of having these things come your way. And before I get into these 4 things, another thing to connect this into business that helped me take this and helps me visualize this was a lot of you want to be at 3K, 5K, 10K, 15K, 30K, but you don't have the infrastructure, the activities, or the habits in order to warrant that. It's that simple. So if you can imagine, if you were going to collect rain, you need some buckets to collect that water when the rain falls down. If it's already raining out there and your buckets aren't out there, you missed the boat. No rain for you today, no water. So it's important that even if you can't see the weather changing and it's not cloudy and it's not the time of year where it rains, you need to go and put your buckets out there so that when it rains, you're prepared. This is the idea when it comes to business and money that you need to internalize and that you need to understand and that you need to run with. That even though right now you can't see where the money's going to come from, you need to do everything you can internally and externally to be ready for it. That said, here are 4 lessons from this quote that Lewis Mocker shared from me: universe rewards speed of implementation and organization. The first thing you have to do to really get this right is that you have to believe. You have to believe that you are capable of it. A second ago, I said you got to go and put the money buckets out. This is the equivalent of creating a juicy offer. This is the equivalent of getting visible on your story. This is the equivalent of talking about pains and problems in your content every single day. And so when you go about doing these things, even if you don't have the clients yet, this starts to shift things in your own spirit, in your own mind, where right now there might be something in you that does not think that you deserve, are worthy of, or that it's capable for you to be full-time online coaching, for you to be at 5, 10, 15, 30K or more a month in online coaching. When you start to organize your thinking and your actions and you start to do things and your energy and you put your money buckets out there, you're now sending a whole different signal out. Your subconscious is receiving a whole different set of thoughts than it was before. And in doing this, you can shift that part that can't see it enough to believe it to actually start believing in it before the weather changes and that money starts to and the rain starts to collect in your money buckets, so to say. So the first thing you have to do is believe. And if you don't believe right now, you can start to look at your habits and your activity and start to change those things. You can change the thought, and then that's going to change the things that you're going to do, or you can change the things that you're doing, and in that reflects to the thought. But you have to start somewhere. So you need to believe. And if you can't believe it just yet, well, maybe you need to get clear on what it is that you don't want. Until the pain is enough of your daily job, or until the pain is enough of you not being at 3, 5, 10, 15K a month or more, it's going to be really hard for you to have the subconscious on your side and for you to have the activity and the habits in order for this to take place. There's the thought in positive affirmation and in positive psychology that you have to be the thing already before you have it. And so a lot of times we'll think, okay, well, if I want to be a coach, but I don't have clients yet, how do I do that? Okay. Well, there is thoughts that coaches have, and there's activities and habits that successful coaches have. And when you start to walk in those footsteps and you start to complete those things, you'll start to have different reactions and you'll start to take different actions. You'll start to get different feedback from people, from your environment, and from the universe. And when that happens, you can start to see it and you can start to believe that even if the clouds aren't there now, the clients and the prospects and the results, but my buckets are out. I'm going to keep doing what I can do and can control in order to be ready for when that happens, for when someone is ready for some help. So thing number one, you have to believe that what you want is possible, that running a full-time online coaching business and that getting to 30K a month and getting clients right now, that it is possible, because there's a reality where it's already happened. And when you start to believe it, you can start to shift your energy into that point. And if you can't do that, start by getting clear on what it is that you don't want. It's a great starting point, and sometimes it's easier for us to know what we don't want so that we can think in opposites and get to where we do want. Real quick, there was another episode where we got real deep on this, and I want to just reference it real quick. In episode 51, we talked about, are you visualizing your success? This pairs perfectly with that episode of the show and will help you to get really clear on the process of manifestation and everything that I've learned. So be sure to head back to episode 51 if this is resonating with you, or if you're in a reality that you maybe don't currently want to be in and you're having trouble kind of figuring it out and navigating it, be sure to head back to that episode so you can just surround yourself with more information like this and start to shift you into a better vibe, and then everything else can follow. Thing number two, when we talk about speed of implementation, when we talk about learning things and implementing them, it makes it all that more important that you're doing the right thing in the right order at the right time and for enough time. It's easy to not be at 5K a month in online coaching and to go buy a course or a coaching program that's levels ahead of where you need to be. And you start to implement and you start to cross off the boxes and check the boxes and you start to get things done and you're doing all of this stuff, but it's not the thing that you need right now to be getting clients. For instance, if you are trying to get a client in the next 7 days, you don't need to work on your website. You don't got to work on or launch a podcast. You don't need to do webinars. You don't need to get into email automation. You don't have to do funnels, ads, or any of those things. You need to go out and have conversations in the marketplace. You need to go and do the one thing that you're resisting. And when you go and you learn a ton of things that are not the right thing that you need right now, and you go and implement that, that can lead you to nowhere. In fact, that can lead you back to having the day job, because then you end in the downward spiral of self-doubt, of the disbelief that it's still not here. And now you're starting to mess with and interrupt the frequencies that you've been broadcasting out. And now you're slapping your hands on water back to the reality transurfing idea of your beach ball is the goal. And when you see your beach ball, you just dive in at it and you kind of just hurriedly trying to get towards it, if that's a word, and you push your goal out into the future. Instead, you got to be calm. And there is a way to navigate yourself towards that beach ball by letting go, by slowly making your way over. And even as close as you approach that ball, it's going to bob and go a little away from you. You compensate for that. You take your goal, now it's yours. So if you're learning all of the things of online coaching and it's not the right thing that you need for right now at the stage that you're at, which is why I designed this show, one of the reasons I designed this show, then it's going to be very easy for you to not end up where you're wanting. So it's important that whatever you need right now in your online business, that you're not chasing shiny objects and implementing a bunch of things because Jeremy told you the speed of implementation is everything. Well, you can totally implement the wrong thing. So what's important is that you don't get scattered in your energy, and you don't scatter your energy in a way because you're following coaches who are miles ahead of you doing things that are the right thing for them at the stage of business that they're at, but you're not there yet. So you need to be learning in order. And what this means is getting help from and finding someone who has a life and business that you're wanting and has that blueprint to help you get there, reaching out for help and getting around other people who are implementing those things. It doesn't matter if it's me or if it's someone else, as long as you get the help that you're needing so that you can do thing number two, which is learn in order and not scatter your energy, frustrated that your goal isn't here, or learning the wrong things and implementing them. And now you have a bunch of things that make you look really cool and feel good in the moment. But now you have to go look for a job. You got to do weird things to make your money. And you got to go ask people, mom and dad, for money, or your spouse, or whatever your situation is. If you focus on doing the right thing in the right order, you can totally avoid all of that. And what this also means is learning things in order and implementing the right thing for the stage that you're at. Thing number three is that when you do come across the right thing for you in your business, is that you're quick to implement. It's easy to get into the overthinking of anything in your day in this online business. It's one thing to learn what you need to do. It's a whole other thing to be doing that on a daily basis. You guys hear me talk a lot about how you need to be offensive in your lead generation and your client acquisition. And too many of you want to be passive and sit back because you think that that is how it is because you're following some coach who's years ahead of you in authority and in revenue and in success stories. And so what you need to do is when you find that right thing to implement is that's when you're quick to implement, to not question it and to get going. And for a lot of you, this will happen when you do join that right coaching program, is that you may have tried a lot of things that didn't work. Now's the time to stop questioning them. And when you hire that coach and to make their word God and go and implement it and not be the person that says the things like, well, I already tried that. Yeah, you probably tried a lot of stuff and you probably did it out of order if you didn't have someone helping you or if you didn't have the right person helping you. Coaches mean well, but it is possible to join the wrong program or for a coach to sell you on something that's ahead of where you're actually at because they want the money. This is something I try to avoid at all costs, which is why I have filters and things that you've heard me talk about, like in the last episode where we talked about like in episode 55, where we talk about increasing your sales rate. If you haven't gone back and checked out episode 55, where I talk about increasing the show up rate, go in there and now you can see the intricacies of how we have conversations and what we say or do to weed out people who are not the right fit and to get those people who are the right fit to self-identify. So it's very easy to learn a bunch of stuff and then to overthink it. And the balance for this is that hesitation kills. When you do learn that right thing, you cannot be that person who's questioning, who's hesitating, who wakes up in the morning with a list of things and starts hesitating and just going off and doing what you're comfortable with, like chores around the house, like something not related to your business, or going and working with and tinkering on the website or making content when you still haven't gotten your client for that week or for that month. Thing number 3, you got to be quick to implement once you find the right person, when you find the right plan. And if you start to hesitate or doubt, that hesitation is going to kill your results and any progress you're capable of getting. Find the right person to help you with the stage you're at in your business. Make their word God. And I promise you that everything in your reality will change when your energy and your activity and your thoughts are all in alignment. 4th, I thought it'd be proper to talk about a couple tools. We're talking about implementing, we're talking about some esoteric things like the universe rewards speed and implementation and organization. Well, there's a couple things that I do to like bring this down to the ground level. We've been up in the sky, let's bring this down to like boots on the ground type of thing, and a couple things that you can start to do. Although I don't want for these things, I've mixed a couple in there to help avoid this, but I also don't want for these things to be another thing that you allow to get in the way of the thing you most need to do right now, like prospecting. So like journaling is the first thing I have here so that you can start to see your thoughts, or so that you can at least get clear in the morning of like what needs to happen today. You got to write those things down. But there's a lot of people who will find journaling as their savior and they'll journal themselves into oblivion and nothing ends up getting done. Don't be that person. There's a balance in between. Everything that you're ever going to learn to do, there's an underuse of it and an overuse of it because we live in this dichotomy. We live in this polarity. And so everything's always oscillating in between. I want for you to be that neutral in between, not overdoing, not underdoing, just getting it right. Journaling's one of them. I write things down in my iPad every day. And when I do get stuck and unclear and sometimes emotional, I'll go and write a little more. I'll get the things out of my head, the things out of my heart. What I don't do is sit there and journal all damn day because journaling is powerful, but it can be overused and you can use it to avoid. The second thing, this is the balance for journaling. I need to make sure I drop these things in here, is you have to be managing and actively inside of every single day your CRM. If you want for your money buckets to be filled up with money, right? We talked about that analogy. Well, you need to be doing the activity that makes that happen. And if you aren't using a CRM, that's your biggest tell that you're not doing the right activity or you don't know the money now activities and tasks. In episode 49, we talked about money now tasks. And in episode 50, we talked about money later tasks. If you don't understand yet and you don't have the money right now, you can just completely ignore episode 50 and focus in on episode 49 to know the things to be doing right now to generate results in your online business. A large part of that's going to come down to your CRM. Your CRM should be the number one app on your phone or on your computer. It should be the closest and access to it, and it should be the one that you're most in tune with. And so you can journal, but you also, we're talking about getting clients here. That means that you need to be in your CRM and organized in your lead flow. And so when someone reaches out asking a qualifying question or your positioning qualifying questions, these are people you need to have in your CRM and be following up with. Those people are your most important ones. People are not going to sign up and book calls on their own. You think they are, and the exception will, But the overwhelming majority in your first 5 years of online coaching, and if you're still under 15K right now, it's an active game. You need to be out there. And the biggest tell of that is your CRM. The next one is your calendar. Are you starting the day off in your calendar and ending the day in your calendar? Are you retroactively adding events in that happened and adding the time wasted and the time also to give yourself credit for the time you did take action and you implemented the right thing? Are you looking on Sunday for your week in the calendar and starting to visualize goals and what the day is going to look like, and you waking up and you doing the right things in the right order, and you not hesitating and you not questioning or getting in self-doubt, and you having the breakthrough and the client signs up? Are you visualizing those things? And are you planning for it by proactively putting those items in your calendar for when and where you're going to be focused on these things, on self-development, but also on prospecting? And if you're going to journal for 5 minutes every day, where is it at in your calendar? And then you get to the point of like, okay, I'm going to journal every day and I do these 10 things every day. Let me go create those as recurring tasks. So on Sunday, I can just adjust what's going to happen in the week. And on any day, I can adjust the things that need to happen on a week-to-week basis. And then over time, you're going to get better about your time management, your time allocation. And then in doing that, if you follow the right mentor that has the right plan and you do it in the right order without questioning it, you will get to where you want to be in time. It all comes down to your calendar. Lastly, for my tools for organization, when it comes to my business, when it comes to things I want to get done in my accomplishments, there's a ton of apps to do it. My favorite is Basecamp. I use Basecamp to manage this podcast. I use Basecamp to manage my self-development. I use Basecamp to manage the logistics of my business in conjunction with Google Docs and my calendar and my CRM and a ton of other things, Evernote. But Basecamp is in where I manage it. So when you think, like, if you don't have a project management tool and you aren't tracking your things, that's probably going to be a big tell about your level of success. Is that people who are successful intend on being successful. When you get intentional about success, that means doing the right things in the right order. That means planning for those things, managing those things, and that means not letting things fall between the cracks, which is why I harp on you guys so much about the CRM. And it's also why it's important that you get organized with a tool of your choosing, even if it's paper and a notebook or a whiteboard or the notes app on your phone. Do have a tool that you use to keep you organized. So these are a couple things and my thoughts on this quote that just absolutely changed my life, changed the trajectory of my business, that universe rewards two things: speed and organization. You need to get better about implementing the right thing that's going to take your business to the next level right now. And you need to get organized spiritually, energetically, and in your activities so that you can be capable of being someone who earns and attracts 15, 30, 50, 100K a month. And I feel like I hope this episode will help you to unlock which of those things or all of the things that need to happen in order for that shift to take place. In the next episode of Client by Client, we're going to talk about 5 business books. In the next episode of Client by Client, I'm going to share with you 5 books that changed my life and business and that I think stand to profoundly impact yours. So be sure to come back for the next episode to hear my reading list and what I'd recommend that you check out both for business and for life. Whenever you're ready, here are a few ways I can help you grow your online business. Coaches, are you still managing your thing? Number 1, get your free copy of GetBookedCRM. Coaches, are you still managing your leads and pipeline from your email inbox, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram DM? Well, you're losing leads in the cracks and you're leaving a lot of money on the table every single month. That's why I created GetBookedCRM. My pipeline management tool helps you get leads and turn them into clients in half the time. And right now, at the time of this recording, it's 100% free. All you have to do is find me on Instagram or wherever you're listening to the show and drop me the letters CRM to get your free copy now. Second, join my free group for online coaches. I've got almost 1,000 coaches in my free community where we share resources. You get access to me and access to coaches from all over the world who are just a step ahead of where you're at the exact same step that you're at, or a small baby step behind, and all ships rise in a high tide. Get around me and them, and for your free invitation to join the Leverage Coach community, all you have to do is send me a DM with the word group. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting some coaches together this month to implement my strategies to inject a minimum of 15K worth of new clients into your online business, or doubling your online client roster over the next 30, 60, 90 days. But This is only for you. If you are a relationship-focused coach who always puts a person ahead of the money, you've been coaching for at least 1 year, you'd like to get 3 to 5 clients organically every month from social media without wasting money and time on paid ads, you have at least 300 friends on a social media platform, email list, or group, you are willing to take bold action because you know that your success depends upon it. And last but most importantly, you can keep a secret. If that's you, I want you to grab your phone right now, tap on Instagram and search at What Up Jeremy. Send me a message with the words case study. When you do that, I'll ask you a couple questions about the vision for your online business and your goals. And then I'll share with you what we have coming up this month in the Get Clients program, how we're already helping other students to get results with my frameworks and strategies, like Henry, who got 8K worth of clients in his first 30 days, or Juan, who set up to have a 60K month in August. And we'll also identify what part of the program will likely have the biggest impact the soonest in your online business. All you have to do is send me the words case study over on Instagram. That's it for this episode of Client by Client. See you back for another one. Cheers. Okay. Oh, we got money coming in. Boom. There's nothing better than just payments coming in while you're taking care of business, while you're doing stuff, while you're actively doing other things to grow the business and attract new clients in. I want to know, guys, what was the thing that stood out to you most from this? Send me a DM over on Instagram or here on Facebook on Messenger, and let me know what stood out to you most, or like what reminder you needed, what you needed to hear today that really landed. And let me know your weekend plans. Bunch of fighting, bunch of remodeling around here. I'll see you guys back on Monday with another one of these. Go subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Apple Spotify, Client by Client. Search my name. That's it for me, guys. Cheers.